We are and always will be a nation of immigrants.
This is my country, my damn country. Give me my country, you can keep the rest.
Bold men and women yearning for freedom and opportunity who leave their homelands and come to a new country to start their lives over.
We were strangers once too.
My country, my damn country. Give me my country.
Hello, aliens and allies. Your friendly Russian is here. This is We the Aliens Podcast, and I'm your host, Sasha Kapustina. Thank you for tuning in. This week on the podcast, Charlie Antillon. And on today's episode is the second part of my conversation with Charlie. If you didn't listen to the first part, you might want to check it out. Charlie tells the story of how he came to Los Angeles from Guatemala and how he transitioned from being a church musician to being a salsa DJ. And on today's episode, we talk about how he became a musician and what it takes to be one. So my question is, what would be your advice to a young or not so young musician or somebody who wants to pursue music?
Well, I think the word passion is very well misused in our society. And it should be only used for important things, So, but when you are passionate about something, it's for a reason. The reason is not always good. The reason is not always positive. Sometimes sometimes we can be passionate about the wrong things.
Yeah, and dots are not there.
So, not just passion, but there was something that used to drive me close. It's been there since I was very, very young. My mom, my grandma used to tell the story and the joke that I danced before I walk, because I used to dance in her arms in the kitchen, and she used to dance with me. The most avid dancer in my family was my grandmother. And she used to hold me in her arms and dance in the kitchen. And she was saying, "Oh no, Chad." When people talk about me being a dancer, it's like, how come? I mean, like, this is church people. What's going on? So she was like, "Oh no, Charlie danced before he walked." And so that was her saying, and also, growing up, my mom had this piano, that she used to practice for school, and it was big. I mean, big for me, right? It was just one of those uprights, but
yeah,
it was huge for me.
Of course.
And my mom and I used to sit on the piano. She never encouraged me. I was never sent to the conservatory or got private lessons or any of that. Couldn't afford it. But she was never, "Oh, don't touch that." I used to pull the bench by myself and sit down. I was like 5 years old, and sit down and start playing. And whatever song I heard on the TV, I used to play it. I don't know how I did it. I don't remember all the details, but I remember me, without the help of anybody, I played the Tom and Jerry song. I played I don't even remember, my favorite cartoons back then. I used to play, like, by ear Christmas songs. And, and I even figured out, by myself, that if I started, I knew where C was, I knew where Do was. So I noticed that if I change the key that I started on, depending on where I started, sometimes I didn't need to use any of the black ones, and it was easier. So I started figuring out how to start my songs on a particular white that will use less black ones, So that was a funny thing, So anyway, using less accidentals, but it was just to make it easier for me, right? But I used to play like Christmas songs and like songs from the school, and then that, but that stopped there, But there was always that. So my passion, one of my passions was playing basketball. But I remember when I was in fourth grade, my school was a 2-story, and I was on the second floor, and we used to run down the stairs like crazy and run through the hallway and going straight to the basketball court for recess, right? But the last room right before the stairs that went down to the basketball court was the music room. And there was a marimba there, and they were practicing. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was still running, and but I kind of stopped, and I'm like, and my friends are like, let's go, and I stop, and watch it, and just keep going. But every time my curiosity started growing, I was only in fourth grade, and my curiosity started growing. So every time I stopped more, and then I stopped at the door with my ball, still under my arm, and I was just mesmerized, looking at the whole thing, right? So, and then I stayed longer and longer and longer until one day the teacher, finally asked me, "Do you want to play?" Just like that. He didn't, he never didn't say anything else. "Do you want to play?" And I was like, "You're talking to me?" and then I said, yes. Straight up. I said yes, and he said, "What instrument do you want to play?" And I said, "The drums." We had some kind of the popular bands in my country is marimba. The strongest country in the world for marimba is Guatemala. And then in my country, we have a marimba orquesta, like we call it marimba orchestra, and it's two marimbas, one small and one big one, and there is four guys playing in the same marimba in one, and three guys playing in the other one. So we play different voices with the marimba.
What is a marimba?
Marimba is like a large xylophone, like a oversized vibraphone made out of wood.
Okay.
So, but so we play different voices. Four people playing one marimba and three in the other one, and then there's a contrabass, and then there is the drummer, and and we make like any kind of music. We play anything from cumbia to classical music there. So so I said I want to play the drums. So the teacher told the guy, not very happy, the drummer, say, "Okay, stand up, give me the sticks." And he didn't tell me anything. He didn't say, "Hold the sticks this way, sit down this way, play that way." He just say, "Okay, play." Now, remember, I've been watching for a while, but I have never in my life held actual drumsticks.
Oh my God, I would just die right there.
Now, since I was a baby, I used to play with the fork and spoon, when I was at the table, and I was always, people like my grandma and my mom knew that I was
drummers drum all the time.
Oh, drummer, but I was a baby doing it, but now I have the sticks and I have the actual drums, So guess what? I guess just by looking at the guy, the teacher counted, 1, 2, and we started playing the same song, and I was able to mimic the rhythm, and I played without any explanation. The first time I stood on the drums, I was able to play. I didn't do everything right.
Right.
But in less than a year, I took the spot of the drummer.
Oh, poor guy.
And poor guy. Yes, I feel bad. I took the spot. It was just natural to me. And then he added another drum, and then he added a cowbell, and it was just natural to me. And the teacher used to just tell me with the mouth how the rhythm goes. Like she was like, and I was just doing it. And it was just crazy, but how easy I could just manage and do the whole thing. Well, I play 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I graduated. I was the drum major of a marching band of the top. When I graduated from high school, I was we call it commander in chief, but here is like a drum major of the largest and best co-ed marching band in my country. In my country, we have all girl band and all boys band, and then we have the mix. And the most celebrated marching band from a high school in my country was from my school. And I was in the last 2 years, I was the director. First I played 2 years, and we won national contests and stuff. So anyway, going back, there's a little thing to us too. When there is something that, not that you're after, but something that is after you, don't turn your ears off to it. I mean, if all your life you try to sing and you never had, but you already know that you're tone deaf, I don't know if I would recommend for you to go that way. But if you have the passion to do it and you just don't know how good you are, try it. Go to school, get a teacher, get a private tutor, something. Look up videos on YouTube, something, and don't let that desire. And if you see life putting certain opportunities around you, don't just think it's a chance, because it might be something greater telling you something. And I would encourage you to try. Now, not all waves are rideable. So sometimes we see a really cool wave, but we see it too late and we cannot ride it. Sometimes the wave is bigger than our skills and we cannot ride it. Sometimes the wave is too soft for our skills and we cannot ride it. Maybe others can. And we see the guys passing us and like, oh man, I should have taken that, but I couldn't,
Yeah.
So basically what I say is don't doubt yourself trying new things, but don't force them. I mean, if you see that that's not your thing, well, it's not your thing. But also don't give up easily. I had I was surrounded by music all my life, and I had definitely had the passion for it. And and but listen to this story because this is important. After
Yes.
all that I did in school, playing with the marimba band, almost
Mm-hmm.
naturally,
Mm-hmm.
after playing the piano practically by myself,
Yeah.
on the melody. I never play. I still don't play piano. I play by ear and I play very simple stuff, but I can accompany. But still, I mean, when I learned my first melodies, it was almost my mom just let me play with it, and I kind of figured it out. She told me where do was. She told me the name of it. She taught me how to play the Pink Panther, and that was it. And that was it. And then all the experiences of marching band, and then when they send us in the last year of high school, they send you to certain um counseling,
Mm-hmm.
for what you should keep studying, and they make all these tests for you. In my country, I don't know how it's here, but anyway, back then I took all these tests of aptitude. What am I good for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was a very good student. I was very active in sports and marching band, but I was very good student. I
Mm-hmm.
was in a private school because I had a scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
um, because of my grades. And humbly I say this, but it's just part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I got all my results and I talked to the counselor said, "Well, Antillon, because they call you over there in school, they call you by your last name. Well, Antillon, let me tell you, this is a person that I didn't know anything about. He didn't know anything about me. He's just reading the results, right?
Yeah.
And he supposedly has some skills, psychological or whatever, you know, to
Yeah.
tell me what I'm good for according to my results. Well, he said, I can see you have potential, and I can see you're a very smart kid. And actually, I would tell you you're good to be an engineer, or you're good to be this, or you're good to be that, but you can do anything you want. Your mathematical aptitude is super high. Your spatial adaptation is super high. All your tests are high. You can be
Mm-hmm.
an architect, you can be an engineer, you can be a doctor. He said, usually I have the most two choices per person, but he said, you can literally do whatever you want. I don't even know what to say. The only warning I have for you, he said, is don't be a musician, because your tests for musical aptitude are the only things that are low.
Huh.
Everything else is high. I try not to smile too big, because I was respectful. He's a teacher or counselor, whatever. And I was like, and I
Mm.
said, okay. I said, well, thank you very much. And I grabbed my paper and I walked away. By
Yeah.
the time I was already training with the youth, I was still playing, in the marching
Yeah.
band, directing the marching band, but I was already uh, playing, and I was already training in church with the youth band.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing guitar, I was playing drums,
Mm-hmm.
I was learning to play the bass. Yeah, I was,
So clearly, the guy was.
I was practicing I already played flugelhorn, and I was learning to play trumpet. It was just, music was in my system 24/7, so, and then he said, don't go and do anything that has to do with music. And, and I said, thank you. And I walked away, and I never, that didn't stop me, but also
Obviously.
yeah, but I wasn't like depressed, like, oh man. But I also wasn't like, oh, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. I mean, I was just doing music, and I just kept doing what I was doing. So going
Mm.
back to the example of the waves, right away for as long as you can, and try it. The worst it can happen is that somebody's going to tell you that you're bad about it, but to be honest with you, in the beginning, a lot of people used to say that I was a bad DJ, but I
Mm.
just felt that it was. But I just felt that the people coming to my clubs, it was just not a feeling. I mean, it was a visual. I was
Mm-hmm.
just seeing that my club keep growing, and that people was keep coming, and it was enjoying it, and people stay to usually
Yeah.
clubs get empty early, but my clubs just get, when it's late and people still there, like
Yeah.
I have the only reason why we have security is, in salsa hardly anything happened, but we have security so he can kick people out because people don't want to go. You've been at the warehouse at
Yeah.
1:45 when people don't want to leave. And I'm not saying it's because of me, but I'm saying I am part of something that people like.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that I helped creating an environment where people enjoy music, and the reason why uh, um, something that eased my way into DJing was my knowledge in music and my knowledge in sound.
Mm-hmm.
And and I would say don't give up on the idea. When I moved from music in the church to salsa music, I give up not give up, but I thought that me becoming a salsa musician was a very remote thing to play
Mm.
because the musicians I interact with were these monsters. But the salsa musicians are some of the most skillful. It's ironic, right? They make their money in the studio work or playing other
Yeah.
genres or
Yeah.
playing other genres. But the salsa gigs are not highly paid, but this is highly trained people. Every musician in salsa world, they sight read and they're amazing. So when I started interacting with them, I thought I'm never gonna play. And then
Mm.
and then 5 years about after being a DJ, I was able to put together my own band that I still have for 10 years, almost 10 years. Charlie Antillon y su Salsadura. I direct a musical band, and I have played congas with them, and I sing with my band. I'm not a professional singer, but I sing, I play, and I have, of course, I have people that carry my weight, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by all this amazing, but I am the guy that put the band together,
Where do you play?
at Zanzibar, at West End, exclusively. And sometimes I come,
Ah.
and sometimes here in Ventura County, I've come to Ventura, Santa Barbara, where they invite me as a DJ, they invite my band. I don't really travel
Mm.
in Los Angeles because I'm always working. And
Yeah.
the only club where I play and have live bands was West End, formerly Zanzibar.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's where I had my band. The only reason why I put together a band was to be able to afford a band, every Monday. So I used to have my
Mm.
band one Monday and then another band and then kind of
Yeah.
balance the pay. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
Ah,
pursue your dreams and do it and just wait for the opportunity because they will come.
that's great. That's a great place to wrap. Any lingering thoughts?
No, I mean I'm
We
good.
got it.
I
We
think
got it.
I think we got it. I think we got it. I would like to say, at the end that I appreciate you
Thank you.
for doing what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing. And
Thank you,
I am
Charlie.
very proud of you
Thank you.
for your perseverance doing this and not just I mean, I'm not talking about just with me because you've been
Mhm.
after me for quite some time.
Yeah.
And but your perseverance with the whole your show and your podcast, whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're not giving up and you're keep going.
Mm.
Now I know that with the quarantine things are a lot different, but you're still doing it, and I'm very proud of you. Call you my friend, and you're one very amazing member of our salsa family. And thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be a part of this amazing dance and music family where I can again give back to my community a little bit of so much I have received, and to me that is a blessing from God, and I am very grateful for being able to do it.
Yay. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for sharing and thank you for being one of the hearts of salsa, Los Angeles salsa.
Thank
You're
you, Sasha.
you're you're big, man. We love you.
Thank you, darling. I feel the love. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was fun. If you love salsa music, if you're curious about salsa music, find DJ Charlie on Facebook, Charlie Antillon. Charlie plays amazing live streams and keeps the party going during the pandemic times. Shout out to Ben Bostick, whom we thank for his song My Country, and to Damian Rowley, who edited and mixed this week's interview. Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media. Share the show with a friend. And remember, we're here to stay. We'll find our way. Thank you for listening. Love you all.
You can keep the rest. This is my country, my damn country.